Hello, dear students. It's your teacher woman once again. Hope you all are doing great. I hope you're doing great. I hope you're having a great time. I know we're in quarantine, but I hope that you all are okay. Stay safe, guys. Okay. I'm recording this video because I'm gonna explain unit number 9 to you. Uh, with this video, I'm gonna just in this first part, just gonna go. Um, for the grammar part, some vocabulary, and we're just gonna do some exercises, okay? So, unit number 9, sorry, it says what lies ahead. Well, it's basically a question that we ask when we think about the future, like what's gonna happen next, what's gonna happen tomorrow, what's gonna happen in 2 years, what lies ahead. It's like what is in my future. Okay, well, this unit basically starts with a survey, as the rest of the units that I want you to do individually. You're gonna grade all of them, and then you're gonna see the results. But we're gonna come to this part, to the spotlighted language. It is a conversation that I want you to listen to it. But we're gonna just like check the pronunciation here. In Lina, it says, "I just read the packages are going to be delivered to people's homes using drones." Well, drones is the picture that you can see here, a drone. Is that cool or what? It's an informal question that we have here that we use in spoken language. So is that cool or what? It's like, are you angry or what? Or are you hungry or what? Or when you say like, are you sad or what? Well, it's shocking how much they seem to be catching on. So expression here, to be catching on. You never know where you're going to see them next. So that's true. Unfortunately, no matter how you look at it, it's just going to open a can of worms. Another expression that we're gonna see the meaning. That's really in what way? I just think the more drones, the more unintended consequence. Sorry, I don't get it. I don't get it, which is like I don't understand. Drone seems pretty harmless to me. So it's like it's not dangerous. Well, think about it. Imagine thousands of drones flying all over the place. Who's gonna make sure they don't crash into each other? Crash, which is like a collision. Before you know it, somebody's going to get hurt. Come to think of it, I read last week that some have already crashed into cars and even people. And from what I understand, that's just scratching the surface. It gets worse. Pilots have been reporting sightings of drones during takeoffs and landings. Wow, that's no joke. It's like, that's not kidding. Or that's like something, like someone's not joking with something that's no joke. Exactly. Or or another way to say that's no joke is like it's like the things are really serious. Okay, exactly. At some point, there is going to be a collision. As I was saying, it isn't a question of it. It isn't a question of if, but when. It is, sorry, it isn't a question of if, but when. Well, this is definitely the case in which the bad outweighs the good. Okay. Good. We have some idioms and expressions here. Second page. We have, for example, number one, which is say something is catching on. Two says letter E, which is to indicate that something is becoming popular, which is true. Like something is catching on is like something is becoming popular and popular. Say it'll open a can of worms. Two, express concern about possible problems in the future. That's true. When you say like don't do that because that's gonna open a can of worms, it's like that's gonna become in a in a great problem or in a big deal. Number three, say before you know it. Two, it says that suggests that something is going to happen soon. Yeah, that's true. Number four, come to think of it, it says indicate that you suddenly realize or remember something. Yeah, come to think of it, it's like now that I'm thinking about it, I need to mention this. It's like indicate you suddenly realize or remember something. And number five, say it's just scratching the surface, it means suggests that it provides only a small piece of total picture. It's like just it's when you say it's just scratching the surface is when you say like that's not all, that's just like a little part of the huge amount of things that we need to know. Okay, number 6, it says say it isn't a question of if but when. It is for state that something is certain to happen. Yeah, it's a question of if but when. Number 7, the bad outweighs the good, which means that sorry, to suggest that there are more disadvantages than advantages. Yeah, when you say that something overweighs, another thing is that is like there are more disadvantages of something over advantages. Well, in this case, it says the bad outweighs the good, which means that there are more bad things than good things. Okay, good. So we're gonna just go to this part. This is the second part, which is um, the grammar spotlight. It says envisioning the future. Well, there is a reading here. Well, in this unit, we're gonna basically talk about passive voice. I know it's a topic that maybe you're gonna say like, oh my God, passive voice again. Well, but passive voice in the future. We're gonna see the simple future, future as seen from the past, and the future perfect. Something, and also with the condition. Something that I want you to do is that if you don't have these topics, maybe the future as seen from the past, the future perfect, and the second and the third conditionals. I want you to please go back and review before you watch this video, because if you don't do it, uh, you're not gonna understand, okay? Or maybe you're gonna get confused because you don't master the other topic. So if we're gonna study the passive voice now, but if you don't know pretty well, if you don't master these topics, then it's gonna be like a problem for you to understand. So my recommendation, we're gonna try to review, but I'm not gonna focus on the review because that's something that you already know, or it's something that you're supposed to know already. But we're gonna just like briefly see review, and then we're gonna go to the passive voice. Okay. So for understanding this, I want you to pay attention to this part that is here. So the future simple says the function of the future simple is that something that is going to take place or will probably take place at a certain point in the future. Well, you already know the structure, which is be going to plus the verb or will plus verb. Informal structure, we say gonna or the contraction of will. And there is a slang in English that we only use with the pronoun I, which is I am going to, we say I'm a, okay? But that's something that is very, very, very informal. Okay, pay attention to this part here. I have two examples here, and then we're gonna set in the passive voice. In the future, new home technologies are going to make our lives easier. And in the future, new home technologies will make our lives easier. Okay, one of the characteristics of the passive voice is that talking about the structure is that we need to use the verb to be, okay, and the verb in the past participle. So we say in the future, instead of saying no home technologies, which is the agent in this case, the doer of the action, we're gonna start by the receiver of the action, which is our lives. And then we say are going to be made easier by new home technologies. In the passive voice, we use this preposition by in order to say the agent of the action, the doer of the action, okay? Which is sometimes not important or is not necessary to be said because it's pretty obvious or it's just not important, okay? In number 2, it says, in the future, our lives will be made easier by new home technology. So instead of saying will make, we say will be made. Instead of saying are going to make, we say are going to be made. But remember the structure. In the passive voice, we start by the receiver of the action, and then if it's necessary, we mention the doer, the agent, which is in this case new home technologies. Okay? Well, that's the way that we are doing in the future simple. Now, how are we gonna do it for future as seen from the past? Okay, when we use the future as seen from the past in English, we want to express an idea you thought in the past that would happen in the future. It means that something in the past we thought something about the future, and then we have to set it like future as seen from the past, because that's something that you thought about the future in the past. So the structure is would plus be. Yes, we use this as future as seen from the past, or in the verb to be here, but in the past. Was, were, going to, and then the structure. Okay, this is the informal structure. Let's look at the examples. So, for example, Steve Jobs and Bill Gates predicted that millions of people would use computers at homes. Look at this structure. It says would use computers at homes. Or Steve Jobs and Bill Gates predicted that millions of people were going to use computers at home. But, well, this is the future seen from the past, because Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, they said that, they predicted that in the past. They said something about the future in the past, so that's the future as seen from the past. Now, the passive voice, we say Steve Jobs and Bill Gates predicted that computers would be used by millions of people. And now I don't start the sentence saying that millions of people. I start the sentence saying that computers would be used by millions of people at home. Or Steve Jobs and Bill Gates predicted that computers were going to be used by billions of people at home. Okay, so as you can see here, the structure varies a little bit, and also the meaning, because in this case I'm just focusing the attention on computer. Okay, and computers were going to be used. Okay, so in this case I also mentioned the agent because I just wanted to show you that we use the preposition by. Okay, good. So now the next one is the future perfect. We use the future perfect to express an action or idea that will be completed at a certain point in the future. This is very different from the future simple, because in the future simple we only say something that is going to happen at a certain point in the future, that is going to happen. But when we use the future perfect, we just say that something that will be completed, or in the future. Yes, in the future perfect is something that is going to be completed at a certain point in the future. It's not going to happen, it's going to be completed at a certain point in the future. So the structure, we use will have plus the past participle, or we say the verb to be, going to, and the past participle. Okay, those are some informal structures that we use in English. We say I left, which is the contraction of will and have, or we say I will have, for example, just an example. Okay, look at this. It says by 2030, this is the certain point in the future in which something is going to be completed. And look at this. It says by 2030, robots will have replaced humans at work. It means that in this year, robots are going to replace humans. It means that it's something that is going to be, it's something that will have already taken place in the future. Okay, in 2030, humans are not going to be working. The ones that are going to be working are robots, because they will have replaced humans. So in the passive voice, we say by 2030, humans, then we start by the receiver of the action. Humans, which is humans in this case, humans will have been replaced by robots at work. Or by 2030, humans are going to have been replaced by robots at work. Okay, so in this case, the structure changes a little bit. Remember that we use always the verb to be and the past participle in the passive voice. Okay, but it's not only that. We also use the modal verbs in the passive voice. Look at this. We're gonna see the present and real conditional, which is the second the second conditional. In the active voice, we say something like, if doctors developed effective cancer fighting drugs. Remember that we use this verb it's like the same structure that in the simple past, but this is in fact the present the present subjunctive in English. So we say, if doctors developed effective cancer fighting drugs through genetic engineering, people might have said that technology more widely. So how do we change this into passive voice? Look at this. Then we are talking about doctors, which are the doers of the action or the agents, and effective cancer fighting drugs. So we start by the effective cancer fighting drugs. We say, if effective cancer fighting drugs were developed, because we use the verb to be, were developed through genetic engineering, that technology might be more widely accepted and the verb in the past participle. Okay, so you can see the structure here. So I add the verb to be and the verb in the past participle, and I add here the verb to be and the past participle. Okay, so this is for the present and real conditional passive voice. Now, for the past and real conditional passive voice, the past and real conditional is the third conditional, which uses in the first sentence, like in this one that I'm showing you here, it uses the past subjunctive that I told you in the I think that it was like in the video in the last video conference that we had. So we say if scientists hadn't developed computer chips, companies wouldn't have invented smartphones and tablets. Now, how do I say this in the passive voice? Now I start by computer chips because it's the receiver of is the action and I don't need the doer. I say if the computer chip hadn't been developed. So you can see here the verb to be. Smartphones and tablets, again, I start by the receiver of the action, would never have been invented. Would never have been invented. Okay? So now the structure is the same. We use the verb to be and the verb in the past participle form. So you can start the video and you can analyze the examples. You can analyze what I'm telling you. You can repeat and then you can like better complete. Okay, so we're gonna go to this page. I want you to practice here. It says grammar, read the predictions and complete statements. Exercise E. Putting each prediction into the future perfect in the passive voice. Then with a partner, discuss the possible downsides to each prediction or whether you think the good outweighs the bad. Explain your views. So the idea is that you start the video here and you do the exercises on your own. I cannot like wait like 10-15 minutes because then the video is gonna be too long. But the idea is that you can stop and then we check it because I'm gonna show you the answers. Okay. Good. So in the first one it says high-speed megally trains will replace air travels as the preferred means of transportation. So we say by the end of the 21st century, air travel will have been replaced by high-speed megally trains as the preferred means of transportation. So in this case, they use the future perfect passive voice, will have been replaced. In the second one, alternative methods of identification will replace passports for international travel. It says by the second half of the 21st century, passports for international travel will have been replaced. So in this case, we use the future perfect as well by alternative methods of identification. And in number 3, it says drone technology will make airplane pilots obsolete. It says by 2075, air pilots will have been made obsolete by drone technology. Future perfect passive voice again. It says prediction 4, a private company will construct a space hotel with a spectacular view of the Earth. So it says by the year 2100, a space hotel with a spectacular view of the Earth will have been constructed by the private company. Will have been constructed. Okay, future perfect passive voice again. So I want you to do this part here. It says on your notepad, write at least 3 wild predictions about the future using the passive voice of will or be going to or the future perfect. Okay? Good. I want you to do this and then we can check it in our meeting. Okay? Good. And I want you to do this part too. It says look at the predictions for possible moon habitat on a separate sheet of paper. Change the statements from active to passive voice. So I want you to take a look at this. A moon habit of the future. Rockets will transport lightweight building materials from Earth. The construction materials will protect inhabitants from radiation and solar winds. So I want you to take a look at this. I want you to read it and I want you to change this from active voice into passive voice and then we check it in our video conference too. Okay? Good. As usual, the listening part, this part here is gonna be your homework. And also we're gonna check this part here, which is the passive voice in unreal conditional sentences, the present unreal conditional, and the past unreal conditional. Okay, something that I want to clarify in this part is that what says here, it says the passive voice can be used in both or in one or both clauses in unreal conditional sentence. It means that you can use it in both sentences, before the comma and after the comma, or you can just use it in the first one or in the second one, okay? In case that maybe you have an idea, you have an example, and you say, teacher, but if I say the first one in the passive voice, do I have to say the second one in the passive voice too? No, it's not necessary, okay? So let's do exercise E. I want you to start the video and do it and then check with me. The answer is, it says, read the true statements. Then on a separate sheet of paper, write in real conditional statements with your own opinions using the passive voice in if clause. So in the example, it says operations aren't always performed by robots. So it says if operations were always performed by robots, there would never be any surgical errors. Another idea here, which is the first one, it says chips aren't implanted in our bodies at birth. It says if chips were implanted in our bodies at birth, it would be more difficult to steal our identities, which is something that is true. Okay, those are optionals because this is individually. You can just like do it as you want. Okay, you can do it as you want. Just take into account the idea that is here. Number two, genetic engineering isn't prohibited. It says if genetic engineering were prohibited, our food would be much safer. Human cloning isn't permitted. If human cloning were permitted, we might have doubles walking around. Number four, the airplane was invented in the early 90s. It says if the airplanes hadn't been invented in the early 90s, modern travel would be different. The dinosaur was made extinct. If dinosaur hadn't been made extinct, the world would not have evolved to where we are today. Number six, written language was developed thousands of years ago. It says if written language had not been developed thousands of years ago, people would have had to rely on auto communication. Electricity was discovered in the 17th century. Because if electricity hadn't been discovered in the 17th century, other related discoveries would not have been made. Okay, so those are some examples, but you have to do it on your own because it says write your own opinions. The only thing that you have to take into account is the first sentence that is here. Okay, good. So we're gonna check this on our video conference too. Okay, I want you to do also the reading part, the exercises that are here, as usual, as you do it, and yeah, and the listening part you already know. So it's missing the writing part, which is gonna be a little bit about essays, how to write an essay, and the pronunciation part. Okay, good. Then we're gonna check the review that is here. So guys, thank you very much for paying attention to this video. Once again, this time I'm not showing the camera because I can't. It's not available right now. But thank you very much, guys, because I know that you're always here, like keep pushing and just like trying to go through this difficult situation that we're going through because of the coronavirus. Guys, if you didn't understand something, you already know, you just write down your question. You I repeat again, maybe you feel like I was like going fast, but you can just like stop the video, study on your own, and write down the questions that you have. Maybe if you didn't understand something, is totally okay. You can just write the question and then in our video conference you can ask and we can clarify. Okay, so once again, thank you very much. Please take care, stay at home. Okay, God bless you all.